I'd like to welcome everyone to today's edition of the Software Oasis Software Spotlight. And joining us today, I am very happy to have from Iceland, Gilsey with CrankWheel, a very unique software selling solution uh, designed for a variety of industries. But our focus today is on the health insurance sales industry. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
And I was hoping we could start out by giving our listeners and viewers just a quick overview of what inspired you and your team to create the Crankwheel solution.
Well, it's an excellent question because I think it's 8 years ago rather than nine that me and the founder were childhood friends, and we were at a crossroads in our life. He just quitted with Google, and I've been working selling insurance for 15 years ish. And we started brainstorming about my business and stuff like that. And he saw when I was working how much time I spent on the telephone, trying to book meetings, trying to see people. So we came up with the idea to create a screen sharing solution where you could actually go as far as you can in the first call friction free without just spending that valuable time with the prospect or customer on the phone. And usually you always just have to visit him or schedule a meeting. We want to make it visible within seconds, and that's where it came from, to sell faster and better, in a
Fantastic.
nutshell.
Well, it sounds like the two of you are absolute veterans in the industry at this point. I know that they say 6 months on the internet is like a decade in some other industries. So absolutely an amazing track record there.
And we're
And
bootstrapped. So we've done it just by having excellent customers. So even better.
well, I can tell you from having used the solution myself, absolutely impressed with the overall ease of use and the design, the UX design of the interface. Really well done, and the onboarding is very straightforward. I was hoping that you could give us a nice overview demo of the solution by sharing a tab of the solution at the bottom of the screen so that we can
Yep.
show our
That,
viewers how Crankwheel fits in and helps with the
yep.
B2B sales.
Yep. Actually, how this works. I should be sharing my screen. Should be seeing in a few seconds.
And
The use.
I guess
Sorry,
just
continue.
just to back up a little bit, so the Crankwheel solution, obviously we're talking about healthcare, but are the sales made directly to the consumers or to the business, or who would be the end client that the agents are working with, or could it be across different types of clients?
Yeah, I would say most of our customers have that in common, is that they are dealing with the decision makers, small business owners or individuals, and where you can actually, like I say, almost all of our usages, they don't use our audio. This is basically mostly
Understood.
used to support telesales. So you have someone on the telephone, a decision maker or a couple or a business owner, and you see there's some kind of interest with us. You can actually go to a screen sharing session within seconds. It's actually that reliable that is used heavily in inside sales and cold calling, where you get that small interest, and then you can say, hey, I just sent you an SMS, click the link, and you're going into a presentation building up a trust rather than just sending a email and trying
So
to visualize
really,
like that.
really modernizes the
Yeah.
whole sales process. And is the solution available to agents strictly in the US, or is it global, or are there certain countries where
We have users all over the world selling both financial product, insurance, and digital agencies. All kinds of our all kinds of our customers are using it. So the key thing is just they try to get more out of the regular call. So like I say,
Understood.
that's actually how it is. It's used, and we're used heavily in. I think we have paying customers in 5 continents. So
Wow.
that must be something. And I've seen the similarities with salespeople are selling. For example, insurance. Doesn't matter if it's in Germany or the States or in the UK. Similar usage numbers, similar pattern, and it's we are very similar. It doesn't matter where you
So,
are.
yeah, so it sounds like the sales cycle is very similar across different markets.
Yeah, you could say that. Of course, there are different rules, but you're still always at the end of the line, building up trust, selling to individuals. So you do whatever you can to get over that threshold, so they will actually trust you. And we have some good pointers using CrankWheel how you can actually do that without just
Sure.
talking fast, like a lot of people try to do
Obviously,
when over the
people
phone.
people buy from people, so that's the key.
That's well said. So, would you like me to dive into the?
Yeah, that would be
To,
great. So, kind of walk me through what we're looking at on the screen here.
okay, this is just our website. We started as a Chrome extension, so I'm used to just using that. We have other versions of CrankWheel, but I'm just gonna use the Chrome extension for the
Okay.
demonstration part. Okay. To open up CrankWheel, you can of course pin it here if you have downloaded through the Chrome store. This
Okay.
thing that opens here, this is what we call the control panel. This is the thing that controls how you're actually using CrankWheel. And most of screen sharing solutions that people are familiar with, it doesn't matter if it's Team or Zoom or whatever, you always schedule a meeting, send an email, and stuff like that. So what we have designed was the foundation of CrankWheel to make it work all the time, that you can actually use it without any hesitation, just within seconds. So just to show you that, first, to start using CrankWheel, you have to decide if you're going to share a browser tab. That means you're only sharing the content of one browser tab. So it's very clean for the end user. Program window, that means you can share any program or application that you have open on your computer, or full screen. That means I would never recommend for people to use that if you have only one monitor, because then you will have all the notifications and stuff like that coming up. It's really, and
Understood.
a lot of things could be shown there that is not very relevant for the end user. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to share a browser tab, and I need to click this one here to confirm it. So now comes the beauty part. This is actually what we call the control panel that shows a way how you can get people connected within seconds. First of all, I'm going to show how easy it is to send an SMS. I'm going to send an SMS to you. Just going to move it so people won't see your number.
Okay.
I just put the phone number in and press send. Don't have to do anything. And I would usually the sales pitch would be something like, "Hey, I just text you. Put me on speaker." And it failed to send. I don't know what that happened. So it was probably my mistake. You can edit this. No, I just copy and paste your phone number. Okay, sorry. I know what I did. I
Oh,
put
maybe,
your land
yeah,
code.
maybe
I
you just
put
want to
your land
minimize that.
code. I put the
Yeah.
land code with it. Sorry about this. So the only thing that the agent has to do, send an SMS, and you should receive an SMS now. Did you receive it?
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
Right
we
here.
got a song.
Perfect.
So when you click the SMS, what happens here on my screen?
Okay, let me do that. Hang on a moment.
Yep, we have a notification system on CrankWheel. That actually, this one here is actually, if you zoom in on your mobile device, I can actually
Sure.
see which part of the screen you're seeing.
Oh, that's
So
exciting.
if you simply tap, so
Neat.
you
So
never have to
right now I'm
ask.
looking at monitor
Yes,
engagement. Yeah. Okay.
yes. This is the reason why we did this. That there are a few things. You never have to ask these silly questions. Are you seeing my screen? Because, for example,
Sure.
if you're showing some comparison or a policy, it's really important that you're on the same page as the viewer. Also, what comes in
Understood.
handy, for example, if there's a delay and you're showing maybe a few slides, you can wait with your sales pitch. And here comes the beauty part. When you're not viewing my screen, I get
I'm
notified.
not.
Oh, so if
You caught
so if
me.
you
You caught
so
me.
yeah so if you come back to the screen, I will
Okay, let
get
me do that.
notified.
Hang on a moment.
So of course, welcome back.
Okay, I'm there.
So of course, we don't see what you're seeing, but we can actually see if you're watching the screen or not. It's both done for engagement, plus it's also if viewers accidentally go to a new browser. So this is just
Sure.
to
So
make
for
sure that the viewer is
compliance and obviously.
yeah, and also for all kinds of reasons. It's good to know that they have that they're viewing your screen. Another way to get people connected, you just copy the link here, send it by chat or WhatsApp or whatever. And we have
Okay.
also a way to get people connected is through what we call the lobby approach, where every company or individual has their own lobby. And how that actually works, just to show it here, is something like this. You just tell the viewer to go to the prospect to go to a public link. There
Don't
they
get
should
mad
have
at
a
me. I'm gonna shut my phone off.
yeah. And you see, this is actually how this works. So people go to the public link, choose me as a presenter, and then we have a security bridge where I can accept them to the meeting. So you don't
Sure.
accidentally get somebody else. I just do it here, boom, and then you're
Makes
connected.
sense.
So all of these ways are designed that you can actually go to this presentation within seconds. So you can just tell the public link. Of course, you can schedule meetings with CrankWheel. This is just to show the X factor that you can actually just use this on the fly. For example,
And the
sorry,
levels
continue.
of security and compliance that you've obviously built into the application are exceptional. I would imagine that outside of healthcare, it must be useful for other markets. Are there some specific vertical markets that are seeing success with this?
Wealth management. A lot of financial institutions use this. There's a variety of it.
Sure.
But our uh, companies that are selling solar as a service, residential solar, pretty popular there, where you can, show the difference between saving the environment or pumping oil, whatever.
Right. No, I understand.
But
But
it's
obviously, the what you're showing here is specific for healthcare, and this is helpful. So I'll let you get
yes,
back to what you were showing
yeah.
us. But
Here we have also a webcam. It's a webcam one way of the presenters, and you can move that around and make it bigger or decide in which corner it will be. We don't have a webcam of the prospect because the webcam of you is only used, for example, to build trust, to show there's a human behind it and stuff like that.
understood.
Another cool feature that I want to show before we go further, we have something called a post URL redirect. This means that our customers have the ability to choose where the prospect will go after the screen sharing session ends. So you heard about companies like Zoom or Teams or whatever. When you stop screen sharing with them, you always go to a website where you are helping them, to get more customers. But with CrankWheel, from a drop-down menu that the admin or the user can put in, they can make the decision where the viewer will go to. For example, if this presentation would be going well, I could, for example, I'm going to stop screen sharing now and voila. So this is now the website that the viewer will go to. So you can decide where the viewer will go to. And we have huge success stories in this business where people are using this, for example, to get referrals. You do a good
Sure.
presentation, you stop screen sharing and you would like to refer your friend. Instead of helping us to grow, we think because you're paying for it, you should own it. You can, encourage your business rather than ours.
So at the end of the presentation, let's say it's a few sales calls into a presentation and the customer is ready to move forward. It could bring them to a landing page with a form or what have you.
Anything there is this is how it actually works. This is the back office. Here the viewer can actually just make the decision. The presenter or the company can make the decision where you're going to leave your viewer for each session.
Fantastic.
And like I said, we have some agents and companies that are actually getting a lot of free referrals by just leaving the customer at the website where they can just fill out a name of their uncle or whatever they would recommend the business. Pretty simple way.
Absolutely. At the end of each sale, if someone obviously has enough confidence and trust in you to purchase a service, clearly they're comfortable recommending friends and family.
Definitely. So this was CrankWheel 101.
Wonderful. Well, I had a few topics I wanted to cover. So, do you feel like you've given us a good overview of the product at this point, or were there any other areas that you want
We'll
to
maybe
touch
dive
on the
into it
product?
later. It depends on maybe on the questions. There might be some relevant
Sure.
there.
Sure. So obviously here in the US, we're coming up to open enrollment. I'm sure some other markets around the world are coming up to healthcare insurance open
Yep.
enrollment. Um, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges facing health insurance sales teams now during this open enrollment season? And how does CrankWheel address these?
A lot of agents that come to us, to explain actually what they like most about of is how simple it is to get people connected. You have a lot of maybe elderly people that are not very technical,
Sure.
and don't trust if you have to download something and stuff like that. But with us, it's always just a one click. We heard this million times where you, for example, book a meeting and there's like a complicated things that the person has to do to be able to see a screen sharing session, and
Sure.
they're afraid, and you pay a lot for leads. People pay a lot for leads, and it's very expensive to lose them just because the technology that they're using to, go over the policy and stuff like that, if the technology doesn't work. So they use us because
Absolutely.
it's super, super simple and you can record it and it's compliant. So that's also really important for the viewer.
Ease of use
Ease
trumps
of use.
everything, obviously.
And a lot of people don't know it, but often screen sharing solutions, for example, on a mobile, you usually always have to download an application to your mobile device to be able to get the screen sharing session. So, for example, if you're using one of the bigger companies, it's always you have to go to for example, to the App Store, download the software so someone can sell you insurance. It's a little bit, for a lot of people, it's a little bit of a, and for example, we support every browser, every device. So if you own a Tesla or a old BlackBerry phone, we will deliver the screen sharing session within seconds. You never have to reschedule the meeting just to
Wow.
get the right browser for the agent to be
Sure.
able to sell you.
Okay. So Android, iOS, all of the common platforms as well as
Everyone,
some
everything.
obscure ones. Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you how often we heard stories where people are, using the iPad that their grandchild gave to them so they can actually go on the internet. So it's a huge use case with us, going to a tablet or an iPhone.
Understood. Now, the other question I was wondering is, I'm sure that integrations must be an important part of CrankWheel. Are there other health insurance sales tools or software or other products that you see the agents using that CrankWheel integrates with that
Yeah,
would be important to their process?
yeah,
Or
we are integrating now at the moment with a lot of them. So if we always recommend that if it's not on our website, just to email us to support at CrankWheel and see if we support them. But we are now integrating with a lot of them. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's a but we
Sure.
are integrated with a lot of them. So it's if people go to our website or get our newsletter, they could usually see the
Okay,
list
and
there.
we'll leave a link in the description from the podcast, and
Definitely.
also that people can get in touch. That is very helpful. And what do you see, in the industry as some of the key trends that are happening now and into the future that you think will impact some of the changes that are taking place with technology?
I think remote sales is definitely will just grow 100%. Uh, I think people often afraid enough that the AI will replace salesperson. I always say to salespeople, don't worry about that. Humans
Okay,
want to buy of humans, so it's a no.
sure.
And like I say, I think also the the what matters really is like to build that trust, to go as far as you can and use technology that is relevant for the prospect. Don't try to some prospects like to get a visit, some people like to use the telephone and all of that. I think it's always important to do whatever you can to sell to the prospect how he wants
So
to.
really meeting the customer on whatever channel they want to meet on.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and I can't even say how often people used to start with us as a plan B because, for example, they were using X and Y companies, and they used us as a plan B because it was complicated, and a lot of them have switched to us, and now within when the enrollment is starting, a lot of agents are using us to prepare for that, calling the customers, talk a little bit about them, build trust and all of that stuff before the party starts.
And what's on the horizon? What do you see coming up for the future in terms of trends?
Well, that's a huge question. Now I have to. Well, that's I'm a little bit stuck there. So I don't know, but I think like I say, the remote sales is just getting started, and like I say,
Yeah,
it's with the I I'm probably not best person to talk about that, but still, I think it's not going to change hugely, because
sure.
like I said, people always think it's going to be a big shift and stuff like that at the end of the line, especially if you're selling health and you're selling maybe to elderly people. I think having things simple done by humans is still going to be huge because, like I say, with AI and all of that stuff, it will help a lot, but with some, it's just more spam. So it's just
Sure. No, I understand. And unless you're able to, I don't know if you have some examples of clients using the product, but at a high level, maybe just some examples of some success stories using
yeah.
your solution that you might be able to share.
Yeah, we have some case studies, of course. We're working now on case studies in the States with both insurance and others. But we have most of the case studies that we have done, sorry, all of the case studies we have done have been done for more than built on 12 months usage or more. And it's
Okay, that
usually,
makes sense. So that
so
way,
it's not like uh, your uncle that used CrankWheel for 2 weeks and he told it was a huge success and stuff like that. So but most of these companies have that in common that they used to uh, use pre-booked meetings and stuff like that, and a lot of them
sure.
are actually trying to sell now in the first call.
And
That's the biggest difference.
is
Difference.
there a specific example that comes to mind of someone that's been super successful with CrankWheel, uh, that how they transition their old process to using CrankWheel and
Yep.
are seeing some
Here's
wonderful results?
here are a few. Yep. Here are especially regarding to the states. Here is a case that we did with few independent agents in the states. How they increase sales. This is a number that we see often. 40, 60,
Wow.
70, 80% increase in sales. So, the more or less the only thing that they are changing in the sales cycle is they are showing something that is humanly impossible to talk over the phone. That's,
So this is amazing. So
just,
really just by changing up this one element and meeting the customer where they
yes,
are, you have clients that
yes.
are seeing increases of 60% and greater in terms
Yeah,
of
and we have
their rates of
agents that are
closure.
using. We have maybe agents that are using us up to, some are using 100%, and it's really common that it's 60, 70, 80% that are using us to the mobile. So that means actually that the meetings are not often pre-booked. It's sometimes done on the fly. Sometimes it's just an inbound call, and they change
Sure,
it into a screen sharing session. And we have people, we have agents and even SDRs that are actually using this just to do a short presentation, just to show their license and policies and all that just stuff,
sure.
and then they book another meeting. So
That's crazy.
and if you think about it, to explain something complicated, for example, a policy over the phone, and hoping that the end user will understand it, I think it's just impossible. You have to show it. So the usual use case would be, hey, I'm going to send you a calendar invite tomorrow. Can you show it to me then? But the correct police, you sent just an SMS. I said, just sent you an SMS. Let's just go over your policy now. That's the
Well,
key thing.
let's face it, you'll see it's a nowadays world. Everyone wants everything yesterday, and
Yes.
it sounds like the solution is really able to
Yeah.
exceed people's expectations in terms of really being available and delivering now. And I can tell you from having managed different sales teams over the years that the key to success is really being there before your competitor. And if this solution is
Yes.
allowing salespeople to use technology to uh, get in front of a customer before a competitor has even had time to schedule a call, that's crazy good. So that's really
That
amazing.
yeah, this is not a case that we get with the largest uh, estate agency in the UK. They more or less now their go to market is actually just go in a presentation in the first call. It sounds simple, but a lot of things can happen from when you book a
Right.
meeting over the phone until you uh, actually go to the meeting. They could, for example, talk to a competitor. They could be using CrankWheel, show them something. So it's so important to, if the momentum is now, use it to do whatever you can to build trust or show something, instead of, oh, okay, let's book a meeting tomorrow because I can't show you now because I'm using X technology, and you have an
Right.
old browser. So the only thing you have to do for me to sell you is you have to get a new browser on your computer, blah, 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 all of that stuff. Can you please do that so I can show you something? It's like, for me, it doesn't make sense.
So
So
you've really removed all the barriers, and
no bears. Have you
that
ever been cold call and been to a screen sharing session in the first call? Even though you're like, for example, if you're interested,
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I have for
you know,
any
it's because a lot of people do cold calling, and of course, it's probably the most difficult job in the universe, I think. And we have so many success stories where they're actually, overqualifying leads just by showing them a little bit of glance of what would be talked about at the meeting, just because they show the policy, just because they show, there's a human behind it and all of that stuff. So
Sure,
it's
absolutely. And obviously, the sale is not an inexpensive sale. So, each opportunity can be huge. And obviously, many of these clients are staying with an agent for years. So it's really
yes,
building up that lifetime value and lifetime relationship. So that is key.
that is absolutely true.
One other question I know a lot of people want to know about is support. Obviously, It's a nowadays world, and things can come up. How does your team address support for agents?
Uh, we have a pretty good support system. It's just by email and phone.
Okay.
I think it's probably best to say, because if you look at our reviews in the Chrome store, it's like 4.8, 4.9% stars.
Well,
Stars.
that's off the charts. That's hard to.
Plus, we've done this bootstrapped. That means actually, we are here because we're doing
So
something
everyone
right,
is there working,
and
grinding it out, getting
people are
it
paying
done.
us. So it's
Yeah,
a
taking care of the agents, and obviously you guys care about what you're doing.
yeah. I think we often give, because we have a lot of independent agents and we have also a lot of enterprises, but we try to just treat every agent like he is like a an enterprise customer. It's a I always say no question is a dumb question with us, because if you treat him well, he's your spokesman, and plus he will be a customer for life. So we try to do what we can to
Makes
make
sense. So
the
you're doing
message
the right thing
simple
by your
and
customers.
support pretty good. So at least go to the Chrome. If you don't believe me, go to the Chrome store. You see a lot of agents that have success stories to tell about us, and it's often mentioned support in the uh, in the reviews. So
Okay.
that's
And
positive.
another question I know a lot of people are wondering is, can you talk a little bit about the user experience and the ease of use um, on the agent end of things? I mean, obviously, it sounds like from the consumer end of things, it's a very straightforward experience. As sales teams are using the solution,
Yeah,
are there any other? I know we've covered the ease of use. In the presentation. Is there any other tidbits that you want to add in terms of the agent experience?
yeah. The agent experience I'm going to show you. We have, in our back office. I'm guessing that you're talking about that, but we have a pretty good reporting system both for individuals and for the companies. For example, this is just us. This is actually where you can see how many agents were using it, and if they used, for example, screen shared a program window, browser tab screen. Also, if they use the webcam. If you're managing teams, it's a pretty good tool to see actually if there's a pattern between the top users or not.
Sure.
For the individual users, he can always, if he's working for a company or by himself, he can always see the usage stats
So
to
there's really
actually.
a lot of reporting and a lot of metrics that not only the agents, but I would assume if there's a management team that they can look at some of the reporting and all of that as well, so they can see the productivity.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of similarities with the top insurance agents that are using CrankWheel. We have a lot of users selling insurance or health that are doing more than 100, sessions month after month,
Wow.
and the average number is usually very similar. And a lot of them use, for example, it's very common that use the webcam for maybe 2 or 3 minutes of a half an hour presentation. That's just to build trust. And also a lot of our agents use the reporting system to actually to go over, you know, how long each session was, so they can make them a little bit better. So they can learn from their own usage how to, you know, maybe in this presentation they went too far. They want to, make it shorter. So there's a lot
Sure.
of ways that you can do reporting, because a lot of often reporting is not just used for the managers. Also, just the user wants to, go over, you know, what the average meeting was and stuff like that.
And in terms of transitioning from whatever an agent or an agency or organization is doing now to getting to the Crankwheel system, what do you think is important in terms of that onboarding process for the agents that you see that are successful in using the solution? What do you say?
I would say make Crankwheel part of the KPIs. I think it's the most simple ways of people using that. Uh, I always say this: if the phone call is longer than 2 minutes, I would recommend always to add screen sharing to it, because if the phone call is going further, I'm guessing it probably about 95%. You're probably explaining something that you're watching yourself. You're not watching something else. You're probably watching this, for example, and try to explain it to the prospect. And that is just, like I say, it's often just shortens the sales cycle a lot just to add this in. So I would recommend to just have a part of the KPIs. And we have even customers that you can't open up part of their arsenal unless you do screen sharing. So sometimes companies are just, you have to be able to use this part of the software, not our
Sure.
software, their software. To be able to use it, you have to do screen sharing. So
And in terms of the onboarding process, when an agent is getting started, is it as simple as signing up for a demo or a trial, or how would someone get started with CrankWheel?
that's both, just go to crankwheel.com and sign up. And when you sign up for the first time, you're asked if you want to get like a educational, to learn how to use CrankWheel. I always recommend to use it. So you will get an onboarding email. I think it's like for a few weeks. I think it's where you actually be coming up with some, good use cases, how you can use CrankWheel and stuff like that. Also, we have a few times a week webinars for new users, and also people can book one-on-one meetings. Depends on their
Okay.
needs. So
So it's a very, very low barrier to entry to give it a
yeah,
try and see if it's a good solution for what you're doing.
definitely give us a thought the next time people trying to get people connected to a screen sharing session, it doesn't work. That's people get frustrated. I think that's a good moment to actually use us as a plan B, or just use us all the time.
Okay. And Gilsey, is there a free trial period, or as an agency is getting set up, or?
Yeah, there is a free what's it? We have a free version. We have up to 15 sessions a month for free,
Okay.
and then you can
All
just
right, and we'll
decide to
we'll
go
leave a
to.
link
But we
in
have,
the show notes so that people can easily sign up for a free trial.
you could definitely just try it to see actually if it's a fit for you or not. You do not have to pay immediately, and we usually
Okay.
have a contract like that. You can cancel at any time. So we've done that for a long time, and we give a good discount if you're paying for the entire year,
Okay. Well, it's
upfront.
it's a win-win. Obviously, you're bringing new agents into your ecosystem, and you're helping them sell more. So it's really a no-brainer. Um, and the last area that I wanted to touch on, unless there's any other topics you want to get to, and I'm not sure if you can share this, but in terms of new features, updates, things that the team is working on, do you have anything on the roadmap that you're open to sharing with viewers on our podcast?
Yeah, it's integrations. We can sync the 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 screen recording with the audio. For example, if you're using your telephone system, you can be that will be that is coming. And like I say, it's I think it's just best to be part of our newsletter where actually how that is coming. But that is most of
Okay, so
the.
you're keeping everybody updated with the
Yeah,
newsletter so they know
we,
what
we, we
what's
try to do,
coming.
and I try not to overpromise something. I'd say, I,
Understood.
but there is one feature that I probably a little bit forgot to mention earlier. That's the remote control feature where you can grant your viewers control of your screen, and they can,
Okay.
for example, fill something out like a you know complicated name or something, and also just to keep them engaged. And it works perfectly for if the agent has a PC, but it does not work for the agent if he has a Mac. And this is heavily used by our users to, like I say, you can use this for a calculator or whatever you want to grant them control of your screen. And it's super simple. They do not have to download anything or set something up.
Fantastic. Well, I will tell you that it sounds like a very exciting solution. I'm not into insurance sales myself, but you've actually piqued my curiosity. It actually, if I were there, that is exactly what I'd want to be using.
We are currently accepting customers. So, but like I said, the funny thing is also we created CrankWheel for insurance agent, but it took us like 4 or 5 years, probably 4 years to get the first one. A lot of other industries started using it, and then the insurance industry came running after like I said, it's almost built on word of mouth and success. So it's
Sure.
so a lot of
Well,
people are starting in the insurance industry usually ask somebody for recommendations, and we often come up there.
well, it sounds like it's been a successful journey for you and your team. Obviously, bootstrapping is a very entrepreneurial endeavor, no matter what part of the world you're in. And we really appreciate your taking the time to join us on the podcast today. And
It was my
absolutely,
pleasure.
hopefully, the solution will be a good fit for some new teams here in the US and around the world.
Love it. Like I say, looking forward to helping some of your audience to sell a lot more.